Welcome back to the Fit Minute Podcast, Fitness for Real People, with your host, Gabrielle Mazar. On today's episode, Gabrielle interviews Kris and Kimra Zadig of the Learn Now series. The Learn Now series is an online, on-demand platform to learn Pilates now. Hear more about the program, how it started, and how it has evolved. And now here's your host, personal trainer and stretch therapist, Gabrielle Mazar.
Welcome back to the Fit Minute Podcast, Fitness for Real People. I'm your host, Gabby Mazar, and on today's episode, I have two of my amazing teachers from Pilates Tempe, and we're going to talk about something really cool that they have done, that they actually started before the pandemic, but since all of this has happened, has become kind of a necessity. So, Kimra Zadig and Kris Zahn, welcome.
Thank you.
You are welcome for being here.
Our pleasure.
Yeah. So, first of all, I want you guys to introduce yourselves a little bit and tell me, what's your history with Pilates? Just tell me a little bit about yourself. Go ahead, Kimra.
Okay, great. Yes. I found Pilates probably about 17 years ago, and I have to say it changed my life. It physically changed my life, right? But then what you find is it does more than just physically change your mind. Your body, it changes your mind too. Like, it is a whole body holistic way to exercise. It balances you in muscularly, mentally, physically, emotionally. I love it, and I see the results every day in my clients. So that's very rewarding.
You've been a teacher at Pilates Tempe for how long?
What is it? Is it
2011?
Yeah.
2012.
Okay, yes.
January of 2012 when you joined us.
Yes.
January of so that's
9 years.
9 years. That's a long time. Yeah, and you've got quite a good following. People that love you.
It's been great.
Yeah.
Yes. Two
Kris,
great co-owners.
Yeah. So, Kris, you were the previous owner of Pilates Tempe, which I purchased in November of 2019. Which was good for you. No.
It was great for me. I didn't have a crystal ball, but if I had, I might not have sold it because I felt so bad when it all happened for you. But I prayed a lot for you, so.
It's definitely interesting how things work out, because I feel as though it was terrible for a lot of reasons. I think it was kind of the best move for both of us. And I'm really grateful for that. It could have been much, much worse.
It would have been much, much worse if I still had it. I completely agree with you that it was the best thing to happen for both of us, because my margins were real slim, and it was hanging on by a shoestring, and it needed some new blood and some new ideas, and I brought it through its babyhood, and now you got it as a teenager, and it gave you those teenage years, and now it's growing up.
Yeah. We're going through puberty. But...
Yeah, well, we're past that now, but it's all over with. And now you're getting into a little bit of a younger adult, so.
So, that being said, can you tell us a little bit about your history with Pilates, maybe your history with Pilates Tempe, and what kind of led you to what you two are doing?
Well, I learned a little bit about Pilates when I was fortunate enough to win a week at Canyon Ranch down in Tucson. And as a professional athlete in my past, they knew that I was really well versed in all kinds of exercise and stuff like that. So they kind of tested me and said, "You want to try something different?" I said, "Of course, I always want to try something different." So they took me into their Pilates studio and they let me try Pilates, and I thought I had died and gone to heaven. I had never, ever experienced something where you can get the stretch and the strengthening and everything you needed all in one type of modality. I used to spend 4 hours in the gym getting my cardio. That's the one thing we don't quite get enough of, but still. Cardio, stretching, weight work, you name it. And now I could get a whole week's workout in an hour on a reformer. It was amazing. So I got hooked. And they were really great. And I don't mean that as a little joke, because I was a professional bowler, hook. Anyhow, they offered to help me set up a studio when I came back to Tempe after my week. And it was a really interesting week for me because I decided at that point it was a mind opening, like you said. My husband and I decided to divorce after we got there. I came home from there, and I wound up with the bowling center and our business. So I couldn't do two at the same time. So there went my Pilates studio. Okay, fast forward a number of years, and I came back to Arizona. I had been out doing something different in another state, and I saw this Pilates studio, and I drove by it every day, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go join. So I did. I joined the studio, and I was a member for about 6 months, and then all of a sudden one day it was closed. Now, keep in mind, I was looking at it and thinking, boy, my marketing skills could help this place. I think I'll go talk to her about helping her out. As it turns out, she closed it that day, even before I got a chance to talk to her. So I called the people that had the franchise, and I said, what are you going to do about this? And they said, well, we're looking for a new owner. I went, I want it. Well, you have to go talk to the owner of the building because he's the one that rents the space. So I went and talked to him. Unbelievable. He used to bowl in my bowling center. He already knew me. So there we go. Pilates Tempe, actually a different name originally was born. And after about 3 years in that space, I moved to another one a little further south on Kyrene. Smaller because we had lost our lease. And then I kept looking at this space across the breezeway from where my current space was. I'd put my nose up against the window like a little kid going to a candy store thinking, oh, if I could only have this. Guess what happened? I got it. And I was able to build the whole thing out the way we wanted and needed it. And that's the story of Pilates Tempe. And then, looking around, I thought to myself, I've got to look at a succession plan. So I asked all my teachers if they wanted to buy it, should something happen or I decide to retire. And lo and behold, one of my teachers came to me and said, yes.
Well, see, it's funny because kind of the same thing, that's what happened to me. I would drive by every day and look at Pilates, because I've been a trainer and search therapist for years and years. So I always wanted to do Pilates for myself, and I wanted to teach Pilates, but it's kind of that, this is for me. I don't know if I want to go there. And when you approached me, I think I'd been a client for a while, a couple years.
Yes.
And when you approached me, it was kind of like, this would be good for me to grow my business and for you to semi-retire. And it could be a really good fit. So it was very it's all very fate.
Yes.
And as fate would have it too, it's worked out very well for us because we do have the space set up in a way that allows us to have more than one class at a time, have more than one group at a time, and still keep people separate. So we can have potentially 3 classes going on in 3 separate rooms and 3 separate teachers and still be able to keep people 6 feet apart, with masks on and safe and healthy. So it actually all kind of was just how it was
meant to be.
Right.
It was meant to be.
Exactly.
Because when I set it up, that's what I wanted to begin with. I wanted to be able to offer all different types of modalities and everything. And it just kept evolving and evolving. And finally you came along and it was like, wow, we could have personal training, we could have Pilates, we could have TRX, and we could have bar. And like you said, we have the 3 separate rooms. I never thought there was ever going to be a pandemic where we needed to be 6 feet apart.
Yeah,
but
yeah, please. of everything, when you go into business, you think of absolutely death, losing your legs, bankruptcy. You think of absolutely everything under the sun that could possibly happen, and a pandemic never was one of them.
You and I talked about everything. Yeah. There was nothing under the sun that we didn't talk about that could happen because I experienced half of them anyhow.
Yeah.
And
never.
I remember one day you looked at me and said, we talked about everything but a pandemic.
Yeah.
I said, why would we talk about a pandemic?
Yeah, but here we are.
But here we are. Mm-hmm. And that is not the reason for our new project. Once you and I began our negotiations for the studio, I thought,
What's next?
What's next? What am I going to do? You know, I just can't sit around doing nothing. And one of the things that always bothered me about lots of different places was that they instructed. And as you know, Kimra, I always said we were teachers. And that was really important to me, that people learn so that they can do a better job. I've always been of the impression and understanding that if you understood what you're doing yourself, you'd do it better. So I thought, okay, maybe I could teach how to teach it. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to teach teachers. So I thought, I want to teach clients because I love being with clients. So I started this thing called Pilates Now, Learn Pilates Now. And I thought, okay. And then I thought, well, I want to teach breathing. So Kimra is great at the breathing and the Zen and the breath work and all. And I said to her, you want to come play with me on this one? And she said, yeah, sure. And then she said, well, can we do this? Can we do meditation? Can we do yoga? And I thought, yeah, let's do that. And I'd already decided to do mat Pilates and tower and reformer. All of a sudden we have 9 different modalities, and I'm thinking, well, we can't call it Learn Pilates Now anymore. So we decided to call it the Learn Now series. So we have 9 different modalities that have individual videos teaching each exercise. And to begin with, we have you learn your body so that you can use the correct muscles, so that you understand what we're saying to you, and that you don't look at us like we have 3 heads when we say latissimus or any one of the other thousands of muscles that we work with and things like that. So,
Yeah.
And then it just evolved into what it is. Because of the pandemic, we were only going to be a teaching platform. We only wanted to do that. And then all of a sudden this happened and everybody's looking for classes. So the quickest and easiest class for us to put together for most people were mat classes.
Right.
And everybody knows my thoughts on mat.
Yes.
Yes.
She's learning to love it.
I'm learning. I am a reformer snob, okay? I will tell you that right up front. I think the reformer is the best piece of equipment ever designed to get a workout.
And
However,
Kimra loves Matt.
I do love that.
Yes,
That tells you what you need to work on. So it teaches in its own way.
it sure does.
Well, I think what it is about Matt is that it's difficult.
It is.
It is much more difficult because you're trying to figure out how to do the moves using your own body. There's nothing to assist you. There's nothing to help you, get up and over into the rollover. There's nothing to help you, sitting up into teaser. So you're doing all of these different exercises and it's all on your own. And for most people, they are very, very challenging. Yeah. So Kimra, tell me a little bit about why you wanted to join this project when Kris approached you about it.
I love teaching. Excuse me. I love teaching as well. Like, to me, that is when somebody gets it, that to me is everything, right? Because I went through all those certain levels where I remember hearing the word C-curve and I thought, C-curve your spine? Like, I didn't get C-curve. Like, how basic is that? But when I got it, oh my gosh, I got it. You know what I mean? So, and I see that in my clients too, when they are learning their own bodies and they're figuring out how to move their bodies correctly and more efficiently, and their aches and pains go away and their life gets easier. It's pretty cool stuff.
And you can see it in their face. You can see it when it finally clicks and it's
Absolutely.
like ding. And
Yep.
you're like,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Woo!
I always say to people, it's like Helen Keller realizing that this looks like water. Okay?
Yes.
I had the same experience. You have C-curve. I have squeezing my glutes, engaging my butt. I never could get my and being an athlete, you would think that I would know a lot about it.
Right.
But my sport called for more quadriceps, so I never used my glutes. The day I found my glutes, I felt like Helen Keller.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, and I've been teaching this for 2 years,
Yes.
So that's
very
where some of
exciting.
our cues come from, knowing that we didn't get it and we should have gotten it. So if we didn't get it, the clients need some extra help.
How do you teach it in a manner that gets people to understand what to do? My challenge was short spine. Going through short spine, I'm like, I'm doing it. And, when I was going through training, she's like, no, you're not. What do you mean? So she videoed me, and still in my head, when I'm watching it, I'm like, no, I don't get it. I don't get it. What am I doing wrong? I don't
Right.
understand.
Yes.
And it's even being, a body worker, you still have that kind of epiphany moment where
Yes.
it takes time, and
Absolutely.
you have to bring that to your clients. So
Yes.
you guys decided to start the Learn Now series. Tell me a little bit about all of the different modalities that you work with.
Yes, I predominantly do the mat Pilates. I also do meditation, breathwork, mantra, and mudra. And I think all of those are just, they all complement each other. So it was kind of going back to the balance and the mind-body connection, right? It's really the mind-body connection, right? That's what Pilates is between. You have to think of moving a muscle before you move it. So same thing with breath. Even though breath is automatic, we can have a little bit of an influence on it. And if we direct our energy and our influence in certain little ways, we can make our life so much easier. And yeah, so that's what I love about all of them.
Can you explain mantra and mudra and what they have to do with Pilates?
Yes. So it goes back, I would say, to the mind-body connection part of it. Mantra is sound vibration. It's words. They're ancient languages, ancient texts that have a certain sound vibration. And we know from like the work of Dr. Emoto that sound vibration can either make a beautiful frozen snowflake or can make this awful, ugly mess, right? We know that sound vibration affects physical bodies, physical tissue, water, whatever. So it's using sound vibration to create a positive energy, a positive force around you. So it's sound vibration basically is what mantra is. So we chant and we sing. It's singing. It's, using our voice. And then mudra is hand positions, and same thing. Our bodies are electrical energy beings, and we direct energy. Like, you point, you're directing energy to a focal point, right? It's kind of the same thing. Put all your fingers together, you're in a balanced position, like it's balancing right brain, left brain. It's a different way to influence energy, but it all goes back, I think, to the mind-body part,
And you do a lot of the demonstration.
I do.
In the videos.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the words, it's learning ancient languages. So that's kind of cool in a way because that also is making you think, right? A little bit of brain work, but it's also it's just really neat and fascinating. And then you get the breath work and the meditation together. And those are just states of mind, right? Breath, we use breath to either energize us or to relax us. So you can go between those two states. And then meditation is just, it's a freeing place to be in your brain. So
a lot of people have a very difficult time with meditation.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
And I'm one
training.
of them.
It's training, right? It's something we just have to practice.
Absolutely, just like anything
yep,
else.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And there's no right or wrong way. It's just taking that moment to just take that deep breath and to let crap go, let stuff go, just take that moment to chill. Mm-hmm.
I think the key to what she just said was there's no wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
I always thought you had to do it a specific
Yes.
way.
We do have things in our minds.
Oh, heavens, I had the wrong idea of what meditation was.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually learned there is no right or wrong way to do it. Sure. And it is so much easier when you don't have those expectations
and
on you.
judgments on yourself. Mm-hmm.
And again, it goes to the same thing. If you don't understand the body, you don't understand the exercise. If you don't understand the modality, you don't understand the modality and how to do it properly. So that's why she wanted to be able to teach all that.
Yes, and I do
and
love it.
And she's so good at it. Oh my heavens, she's got that personality, that calm voice. Yeah. Everybody loves her voice.
Yeah.
Thank you, I know.
So moving from the mat Pilates to the mantra and mudra, then what would be the other modules, I guess, of your series?
Where we started with the Pilates, I wanted to be able to teach the reformer exercises so people could do them properly. I wanted to make people less afraid of the reformer that looks like a medieval torture rack the first time you see it.
Yes, it is, but yeah.
Yes, it is. It can be even worse.
Yeah.
Chair and tower, things like that. So those, we're sticking to chair, tower, reformer, and of course she's doing the mat. And we're only using those 3 pieces of apparatus because some of the others are a little bit more detailed, and you really should have somebody on top of you watching. Yeah. I would never encourage anybody to work on a Cadillac by themselves. So this is designed, first of all, to make people feel comfortable doing the modalities. It's designed to make people feel comfortable to come into a studio, not just online, which is where we are pretty much for most exercise right now. But at the point that I created this, I was looking for people to not drive by the studio for a year,
Or longer.
Or longer.
Or much longer.
And come in and say to me, this is
I've
what
lived here for 7 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I drive by this every day and I never saw this sign.
Yep.
Or I was afraid to come in because it's overwhelming. It is so unique and different. It frightens people. It intimidates people. And then they think, oh, I have to work on this thing in front of a group of people?
Yeah.
I don't think so. So I wanted to try to allay all those fears so that they would get to know what a reformer looks like and what we do on it, how to work it properly, what to expect when they come into a studio, and just how to have fun and the great difference it can make in your body, like Kimra was saying.
Yes.
So you mentioned certain types of equipment that you wouldn't work with because they need to be with a teacher. And obviously, as Pilates teachers and people that work with reformers, we are very, very particular about being as safe as possible with our clients because it can be a very dangerous piece of equipment. So tell me, if you're having people in this, that are on here, that they might have a reformer, they might have a chair, and they're learning to do it and they're trying to do it on their own, what type of exercises do you do that you feel comfortable with on an online platform?
First of all, we've had a lot of people contact us about working on the reformer. Can't say that I'm surprised, I'm overwhelmed, I'm happy. Some people are already experienced, others are just learning from scratch. Mm-hmm. We start with the basics. We teach, first of all, your body. That's so important to me. I can't stress that enough. You need to know your shoulder blades from your hip bones, or you need to know where your pelvic floor is and what it does. You need to know how to breathe. So that's where Kimra's stuff comes in. So we teach the body first, and then we try to teach all the basic movements. Footwork to warm you up, how to do the footwork, what spring loads to use. You don't want to use super heavy, that type of thing. So we try to teach what the spring loads are. Not as many people have a reformer as do a mat. And we realize that, and that's why we've leaned a little bit more towards the mat classes now in the very beginning during this pandemic time. But as things change, you can still learn from our video what you need to do and then take it to a studio and do it on the reformer in a studio. That's actually called flipping the classroom. And they're doing that out in education these days. We have a couple of teachers, as you know, at the studio. And when we were talking about what we were doing, she says, oh, that's just flipping the classroom. Learning the material outside of your classroom, understanding the movement, watching it, seeing it, and then taking it back to the classroom and doing it.
Mm-hmm. Putting it into action.
Yes, and letting the teacher make sure that, so that's part of where we were going with this. And we go from beginner to as far advanced as we can. Mm-hmm. Pilates is all about listening. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody realizes that you don't watch a teacher. You listen to your teacher. Once you get into the studio and you get on a reformer, there's nobody demonstrating for you. And you have to work your listening skills. And you have to know your body. You have to know the machine. So that's where all this came from. Mm-hmm. So that we started with this kind of stuff. And then everybody was asking, aren't you worried that people could get hurt? Well, of course I'm worried. We're all worried. You could get hurt like I do just walking. But we stress so much to take precautions and not to do something, again, if you don't have a doctor's orders, if you've had some problems. But we start you at the very, very basics. A little bit of arm work, a lot of ab work. We all know how much ab work is in Pilates. Some strap work for your legs, different types of things. And we have videos that build on that. A 15, 20-minute beginner, a 30, 35-minute intermediate, a 60-minute more advanced, putting different types of exercises in each. And if you follow our curriculum on the website, it will lead you through each one of these areas. You'll learn what the beginning stuff is. Right. You can look at the other stuff, and if you want to try it, we don't recommend it, but you could probably do it. But if you follow what our premise is, and how to learn things. It just takes you step by step by step. And what do we think about other teachers for this?
I think it's awesome. Yes, variety. Mm-hmm.
Variety. And it helps studio owners, I think personally.
Yes.
Because we get the ability to help other teachers learn. Mm-hmm. But most of all, it makes your teaching easier when someone comes to you who's already been through some of this stuff, the flipping the classroom type thing. Mm-hmm. If they know a lot of what's going on, you don't have to work quite so hard to make sure 6 brand new people are going to do the right thing.
Well, and
all about education.
I think people really underestimate how difficult it is just to hold your legs up.
Yes.
In a tabletop or reverse tabletop position.
Absolutely.
Just to hold your knees at 90 degrees in the correct position over your hips with your shins parallel to the floor, as opposed to, with your knees into your chest and your heels to your butt. The correct position just to hold your legs up can be very, very difficult. And I think that especially without knowing what you're doing, you can't really feel it in your body either. So you're thinking, lift your feet and come to tabletop. And when someone comes by and physically corrects you, you're like, oh, that's much harder. Yeah. So as a teacher, having students come in or clients come in that already have an idea of what they should be doing or how their body should be moving would make it much, much easier, because you do have people that sometimes come in and really cannot hold their legs up at all. Right. I mean, and that's just kind of one of the very basic things of Pilates. So it is an educational tool to not only help you as the student, but you as the teacher in the classroom. So explain to me, kind of in the most basic of terms, what the Learn Now series is. So that, I know we've talked about the classes and everything, but how would you describe it? What would be your 30-second pitch on it?
We are an online, on-demand learning platform for different exercises and modalities, as well as offering classes so that you don't have to go to a studio.
Anytime, anywhere. So that's the beauty of it. You can just pop a video up, but in the middle of the night if you like. Anytime you have free time, and they're usually quick videos, and they're efficient. That's what Pilates is too, right? All of this is just to make your life easier in the best way.
And what makes your online platform different than any other out there?
I think for the most part, the majority of the online platforms teach classes. They do what we are preparing them to do. They don't necessarily break each exercise down one-on-one. They tell you to squeeze your shoulder blades. Well, how do you do that?
Sure.
That's what we want to do. Our platform, as I said, started out as just a learning platform, but pandemic changed things for us. But that is the biggest difference. Most of them, it's real easy to grab a phone, put it on camera, put it on video, film whatever it is you're doing, and throw it up on your website.
Sure.
Yeah, it's easy.
Absolutely.
And you know what?
I wouldn't say easy.
No.
It's easier.
Easier to do, yes.
But
it's not
it's
like...
still work.
Right, yeah. It's still work, yes. If you have a... But a lot of people are doing that today. They're just using their phone and throwing it up. And that's not bad. It's giving more opportunities to people to find exercises, find teachers with whom they connect, because that's a big thing too.
Absolutely.
How they speak and how they teach and things like that. But what we want to do first, before you take the class, is teach you the exercise so that you know how to do it properly, so that you get the best benefit out of it. Why do something improperly that's not going to help you?
Sure, and I think that most online platforms, like you said, that teach classes, they're not teaching to your very basic beginner. They're teaching more to your intermediate to advanced student or client who has already done Pilates and does it all the time and just wants to get an online, get their exercise in on an online video. But so it is very different to actually take you from step 1, how to breathe. Most important.
Step 1 is what your body looks like.
Yeah.
Sure.
Step 2 is how to breathe.
Yes.
Sorry.
Posture. We have posture and
Posture.
Yep.
But you know what I'm saying.
I
Taking
know,
it from the
yes,
very, very
absolutely.
basic of basic
Yes.
to, how does your body look and feel? How do you breathe? When do you breathe? Why are you breathing? How do you move your shoulders? How do you move your pelvis? I mean, pelvic tilts are very, very hard for a lot of people
They
too.
are.
What is a pelvic tilt and why are you doing it?
Right.
And which direction is which?
And
Yes.
which direction is what is an anterior posterior tilt? I
right.
don't know.
Yeah.
No, I know, but
And if you don't know and you're in one or the other and you shouldn't be, your back's going to hurt. And then you wonder why your back's hurting. So it really is a body awareness thing, right? Yeah.
absolutely.
And I think that's one of the reasons why some people who try Pilates don't wind up liking it as well as they could, because it is very different in how you move your body versus working with weights and things like that.
There really is, I would say, no other modality that gets you to engage all the things.
Yes.
You're working your strength, you're working your flexibility, you're working your mentality, you're working your breath. All of these things are combined into one. So you're really getting, other than your cardio, which you can. I mean, you can do cardio for sure in a Pilates workout. But you're getting all of the things in one. And not to say that you shouldn't do other things, because absolutely, I mean, I always encourage people to do many different kinds of exercise because your body just needs it. But, Pilates is one of those things that when you do it, you're getting so much more. I mean, I could not do a swan to save my life when I first started, or anything in extension. How often do we extend our spine? Never.
Right.
We never do that.
One of the things I like to tell newbies is that working in Pilates, an hour's worth of Pilates is like a week's worth of work in a gym. Because in a gym, one day you'll work your upper body. The next time you're in, you work your core. And then the next time you're in, you work your legs. Okay? So that's 3 days, an hour and a half. Who knows how long they go, half hour. But you put it all into a Pilates workout, and in 55 minutes to an hour, you've got an entire week's worth of workout
Your whole body.
accomplished. Your entire body. So that means if you work out 3 times a week doing Pilates, you've got 3 weeks
yeah.
worth of work in 1 week.
Major changes can happen.
Major changes, and people are surprised about how quickly their body does change, and that's the reason it
And how
occurs.
good they feel.
Yes, I was just going to say
Yes.
that. I mean, how you feel after. It's not an exhausting, painful, working to exhaustion all your muscles. It's like, man, I feel good.
Yes.
I needed
Yes.
that.
And that's what we want people to understand from the Learn Now series, that it is not as bad as that reformer looks, because it looks like that medieval torture rack. We can make it that way if we want, so don't make us angry, I guess. So, no, just kidding. But we want Learn Now series to teach you all about it so you can enjoy it as much as we do.
So if somebody is looking for this type of platform, how do they find it?
LearnNowSeries.com. That's all they need to do. It pops up. It explains the whole process on the landing page, and then it allows you to sign up. The first month is free, and then you can get in and take a look at it, and then you can decide whether or not it's worth your time and effort.
And you're on Facebook as
And
well.
we're on Facebook as well, Instagram, things like that. So we're just everywhere, like most of the
Like
other,
most everything,
yeah, like
yeah.
most everybody is.
We're out there.
We're out there.
You can find us.
Yeah, and we do have an ongoing process on Mondays. We call it Meditation Monday, and Kimra does a special 1 minute to 90-second type of presentation where you can take that one moment, take a deep breath, do what she's doing, and then it's done. So you can look for
Little tips.
Yeah, Meditation Monday, especially on Facebook. So.
Awesome. Well, I think, is there anything else you'd like to add? Do you think anything else that people should know?
Pilates is wonderful.
Yes. And we can't wait to show you how wonderful it is. So let us show you how wonderful it is.
And all we want you to do is come look and see how it is.
Check it out.
Check it out.
You'll be happy you did.
Yeah. So if you're interested in learning about Pilates and you have no idea what it is or what the heck we're talking about, or you do know what it is and have never tried it before, the Learn Now series may be for you. So LearnNowSeries.com.
Correct.
And yeah, check it out.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for coming on. And thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for listening to the Fit Minute Podcast, Fitness for Real People, with your host, Gabrielle Mazar. If you would like more information on today's episode, you can find it in the show notes, or you can find it on Gabrielle's website at www.healthybodyworksaz.com. Be sure to share the show, give this podcast a review, and subscribe so you won't miss an episode. Join us next week to hear more stories from people just like you. This has been the Fit Minute Podcast, Fitness for Real People, with Gabrielle Mazar.